What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And Bitcoin has gotten a little dip to the downside this morning, so I wanted to hop on here and give you guys a quick market update and let you know my thoughts on where I think price is going next, because Bitcoin could be in danger right now, and we are kind of approaching some last levels of support if we want to see a bigger bounce to the upside. So in today's video, I want to talk about why this little dip to the downside wasn't necessarily that surprising, and I also want to talk about the last two key levels of support we have below us that could be the line in the sand, and if we lose those levels, it could potentially cause a very big dump down for Bitcoin. So I want to talk about the key levels of support if we do get that dump as well. So buckle up, Mafia. It's going to be a good one. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and as you guys can see, we've obviously gotten a little bit of a push to the downside. Now, this was not that big of a surprise if you guys watched my live stream for the past week or two. As you guys know, ever since we rejected off this value area high sitting at about 71.4, we were anticipating a move below that value area into our point of control, and then at that point, guys, almost for the past 2 weeks, we have been looking for a potential loss of this POC, because once we lost that POC and couldn't get back above, we all knew that price was likely to go to that value area low. And although we have gotten some local bounces here off some local golden pockets, which I actually did scalp long here with the premium Discord, but we did know and anticipate this drop down to this key level, which is the value area low of the range. Now, there was many reasons to anticipate this next little drop to the downside, and if you guys watched the live stream last night, we were literally talking about how I was not trusting this long position because we were looking to come down, and we know that when you front run these value area lows, very often we will come down and tap them, and that is just the magic of the volume profile. You hit the value area high, reject, you look to go to the POC, you lose the POC, and you go to the value area low. This is the same exact technique that we've used to take a long position from down here below the value area up into the POC to have that trade play out in full all the way up to the value area high. And this happens time and time again in the market. So if you know what confirmations to look for at the highs and the lows of these volume profiles, it could be a very, very profitable way to trade. But it was not just the volume profile, guys. We also knew that we could get a bigger move down because we had our 16-hour money flow crossing over into the red, and the money flow indicates the longer term trend. So any bounce to the upside is going to be looked at as a lackluster bounce to put in a lower high and continue that move to the downside. And by using all these techniques, guys, we were able to confidently expect price to do exactly what it's doing right now. Now, we are getting a little bit of a bounce from this value area low. However, I have not taken a long position just yet, as I didn't get all my confirmations. And typically, guys, when we lose this golden pocket, we do wind up typically seeing the 786 come in. So this is another level I am looking at. The 786 is sitting at about $62,658. So if we do come down there, I will still be looking for longs, really looking for longs in this whole zone here. And we are starting to form some bullish divergences here, which may be able to help us if this 4-hour bull div prints could help us get a little bit more of a bounce. Now, here's the thing. With the money flow on the higher time frames coming out, we could potentially see a little bit lower of a move. Now, Bitcoin, in my opinion, definitely is in a bit of danger here. Now, obviously, we are not getting super bearish at key support here. However, if we break below this 786 and cannot get back above, there are going to be two last key levels that I'm looking at that will kind of be Bitcoin's life support to save it right before it potentially slips into a low volume gap and gets a big move to the downside. And those two levels, guys, are very simply this larger golden pocket 786 retracement, where we have our golden pocket sitting between 62,395 and 61,894, and our 786 is coming in at $59,765. And these are going to be the last levels of support that I would be looking at for Bitcoin before potentially calling for much lower prices. Because if we do wind up coming down here and we cannot get those long confirmations below the value area low for a long back up into the range, we could potentially come all the way down to this 786. And this 786 at 59,765, in my opinion, is going to be the line in the sand. Not only is this very close to the psychological level of 60K, and once we lose 60K, people are going to start to get very, very worried and potentially start panic selling. We would also likely liquidate a lot of long positions, potentially causing a big move to the downside. And if we pull up our VPVR, you can see we do have pretty significant volume gaps down below. And we all know that once you break down below into these low volume gaps, oftentimes we do see quick moves down or up, depending on what you're looking at, because we always say when you get a quick move up, oftentimes when you enter that zone again, you will have a quick move back down, especially when you have a low volume gap, agreeing with that idea. Now, on top of this, guys, I will say Market Cypher's money flow is also on the higher time frames coming back out. Daily money flow is back in the red. Now, the daily money flow has been quite choppy lately, so I am taking that with a little bit of a grain of salt, but these higher hourly time frames are more clearly coming to the downside here, potentially indicating a bigger drop to lower prices. So again, not getting instantly bearish here, guys. Remember, this is key support, and I wouldn't be more prone to be looking for longs down here, but we are not that far from potentially causing a little bit of panic in the market. And if we wind up losing that 786 and that psychological level of 60K, it could potentially be very bearish and give us that quick move down, which, by the way, will bring us to our next key level of support. And I don't want to say it, could be between $52,500 and $51,000 down here, where we have this naked volume profile as well as a monthly naked point of control. So this would definitely be the next key level of support. I'm not necessarily looking down there just yet, but if we wind up losing these last two key levels, then I think that move is probably going to be pretty likely. Now, that wouldn't necessarily make me super bearish on Bitcoin in the long term, but I know it's going to scare a lot of the new people that came into crypto and bought the top up here. But I will just be looking at this as a potential buy the dip scenario, and I will also be looking for fresh short-term long positions. But let's see if we can get a bounce from the bottom of this range where we have this long zone, and if we can't, you guys now have those key levels to the downside to keep your eye on, and hopefully Bitcoin can hold those lows. So with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time I got for today's market update. We did get that little drop to the downside, so I just kind of wanted to jump on here and talk about why this was not really a surprise and what I'm looking for moving forward here if Bitcoin continues lower, to give you guys that line in the sand where I would probably be looking for price to go back down into the 50,000s. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. Now you guys have all the key levels. Hopefully this helps you guys out, and hopefully you learned something. But with all that being said, that's all the time I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Pray for Bitcoin. Frankie Candles out.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah.